we thought that this in general happens only in online chess, and we surely had a lot of high-profile players being potentially banned or flagged by chess.com. And we discussed that in the last unfiltered meeting, but we have not discussed and we have not caught a lot of over-the-board cheaters. We know the infamous example of Rousis. There were a couple more examples, but not as numerous as in online chess and not as high-profile. But this is big. So he mentions that he wants security measures and methods of cheat detection for over-the-board chess to be increased. What is your take on that, Fabi?
Well, he's, I think, implying somewhat that he says this in the letter in a few different ways, but he's implying that he felt that he was being cheated against in the Sinkfield Cup. And even though Hans admitted to cheating, and we don't really debate that in online tournaments at certain points, people are very much on the fence over whether or not it was even possible for Hans to cheat in the Sinkfield Cup, whether he did, whether it's too far-fetched. But Magnus is coming out and saying that he suspects that Hans cheats not only over the board.
We want it 1.25%, I could.
But also in that tournament, where we should mention the security measures were heightened at some point. But in general, it is also a very closely followed tournament, and it takes a lot of it takes a lot of additional risk to cheat an event like the Sinkfield Cup compared to, your average open tournament where there's a million games going on and people aren't really paying such close attention. So that's a big statement from him. I do agree very much that, not even related to Hans specifically, but we do need additional security measures for tournaments. But we already knew that, and for example, FIDE did have quite serious security measures for the last candidates.
True.
In a way that they didn't have for the candidates before that. Not that any of the players in either candidates tournament have any suspicions against them, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And I noticed that shift from 2020, the candidates before the last one, and the candidates this year in 22.
Could you describe the increased measures?
They did ear stuff.
Well, they use specific scanners, which I won't say what kind of scanners they are, but they're quite sophisticated, and different kinds of scanners. And we also play in a room where you can't really, interact with the outside world at all. After a few minutes, everyone outside of official tournament personnel were asked to leave the room. But these scanners are quite serious, and I know that the St. Louis Chess Club is going to start using them as well.
Okay, that's good.
So not your average, $30 on eBay scanner that won't pick up anything, but some.
Oh my gosh, did Fabiano really just say that? Not your $38 scanner on eBay that won't pick up anything. Oh my gosh, I can't believe Fabiano just did that. He just did St. Louis dirty with that comment.
Evil dwells within this cave.
Some relatively high-tech stuff. And
he's familiar with the scanner market.
And also, what was implemented in the Sinkfield Cup after round 3, which is a 15-minute delay. I think delays in the broadcast and the relay of the games should become standard. I don't know what the amount of time it should be.
Hilarious.
I know that we will see a delay in the U.S. Championship broadcast.
Okay, that's
going to be in place, and it might even be longer than 15 minutes, I suspect.
It better be 30.
So, but yeah, we should have these things in place. I mean, whether you think anyone's cheating or not,
for
just to have it there, so.
To push back for just 1 second.
A delay doesn't help if you have a self-sustaining device. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really sure. I don't know how that works. I don't know.
Second, we know that this delay of 15 minutes or 30 minutes delay can happen if you don't have any spectators. And at the US Championship and at the Sinkfield Cup.
I mean, are you guys saying that you think someone could actually have a program on themselves, like literally? I mean, if they really believe that, like I said, if that is something that's realistic, honestly, it should be very simple. You should have to take off your jacket so you can see, like, if there's anything like somewhere in your jacket pockets, or like you should have to take off your shoes. Those should be the two things for sure. You should have to do both. But I mean, I don't know.
Will be, and there were no spectators. But what can you do when you are playing in a large?
Yeah. So okay, let's move ahead. Let's get to the Maurice bit because apparently this is also a good bit to get to. So let me change the scene. Not this. I will put myself somewhere. Yeah. Where should I do it? I'll put myself down here. There we go. Let's watch this.
But yeah, I mean, huge statement by Magnus. What is your take?
Man, I wish we had more. That's my take. It feels like he had to say something. He was in a tough situation where everybody was saying, "Look, you're coming down to this 19-year-old. You're a grown man. You're the world champion. You're the most powerful player in the game, not just the strongest, but the most powerful voice in the game. You've got to come out with something." So I'm happy that he finally said something, but it feels like there's still a lot of questions hanging in the air, and we need to get some answers. We need to get some answers. The chess world, in order to settle this issue, needs real answers that can help us move forward.
We're hearing a lot from a lot of different sources, and a lot of them are saying the same type of thing. Do you think this is a case of when there's smoke, there's fire, or are people just jumping the gun on this one?
What do you mean in terms of whether or not Hans cheated?
Yeah, I mean, chess.com came out with something. Magnus now he clearly said.
Yeah, we'll never see a smoking gun, I don't think.
So there's a lot of suspicion from a lot of different people. Is this like none of them have given hard evidence, but
yeah, you guys are saying Fabiano's microphone doesn't look like a microphone. I mean, Fabiano I think is literally sitting in a hotel room. Well, maybe not. This looks like an actual couch. But if I want to say Fabiano is sitting in the Chase Park Plaza Hotel.
The fact that a lot of people are suspicious, is that already enough to incriminate him, or at least very strongly suspect him?
I mean, everybody's already incriminated and strongly suspected. There's judges, juries, and executioners. Everybody's lining up to jump on him. I think he's already admitted that he's cheated in the past. It's possible that he's cheated now. I mean, the thing about this is, until you give evidence in the world that we live in, the so-called fair world, the judicial system usually operates not based on hearsay, not based on suspicions, but on proof. And I think that it's a bit sad that we are feeling like, hey, if we suspect somebody enough, that's enough. I mean, even if he's guilty, even if he's straight up guilty, but if you can't just suspect somebody and that be enough. We can't.
Yes, you guys are saying, what could Hans do to possibly clear his name at this point? I mean, it seems very clear to me. Like, chess.com is essentially saying that he's not telling the whole truth. That's what it seems like, very clearly from their statement. And Magnus, it seems like it's the same thing, where they're saying, like, there's something that can't be spoken about for whatever reason. Whether it's an NDA, whether it's a lawsuit, whatever it is. It sounds like there's something more that nobody can talk about because of some legal agreement or legal situation, whatever it might be. So if I'm Hans, the way that I see it, Hans should basically say, okay, chess.com, you can show the world whatever you have, it's not true, or it is true, and which is why he's not saying anything. So, I mean, as I see it, unless Hans comes out and says something, I don't really see how people can try to say that Hans is innocent, because fact is, if there is proof of something, and he says there, you know, and if there is proof of something, then Hans should be like, yeah, like, okay, show me what your proof is. So that's the way that I see it.
Live in that world. I mean, that to me is not the way we want to operate. And for the game of chess, it's a terrible slope. It's very slippery slope to be going down, because as you know, you both know, Hans is not the only one.
Yeah,
Hans is not the only one.
That's very true.
All right, let's not pretend. He's not the only one. And if that's where we're gonna jump on him, then what about the others? Should everybody be outed by chess.com that they have discovered in the past, or is it just this one person? Like, what's up with that?
I mean, the one difference. I mean, I'll see what Fabiano says, but the one difference here though is with Hans. There have been these rumors for a long time. These are not new rumors. That is the one big difference. Like, I'll give you an example. So people talk about Raunak, for example, or they talk about Parham Magsudaloo. These are people who are apparently caught cheating one time online. I've never heard anyone try to say like Parham or Raunak are based. I haven't heard anyone say, oh yeah, this guy's cheating in this term, this guy might be cheating in that term. You don't hear any of those rumors about these players. Even the players who've been caught one time, you don't hear anything further. So that's why, to me, when people try to say it's like all these different people. I don't really understand that argument, because it is not just everybody where that's the case.
That raises another question, and I think that's a great point. But it feels a little bit that Magnus sort of made Hans the example of in this whole cheating and chess problem. But the other question is, I mean, you know sports really well. In any other sport, if you're caught cheating, that's pretty much it for your career. In chess, that doesn't seem to be the case. Is that how it should be? Should you be able to get a second chance, or should you be done if you're caught cheating online and then that's it for you?
In other sports, it's not it for your career. Right? We've been in the steroid era in baseball, where players have admitted that they've done things and they've come back. In sports in general, you talk about track and field. People get banned. They get banned for a period of time, and then they're allowed to come back. That is the standard. That's the norm in sports. That you are banned for a period of time, and then you're allowed to come back. So I think that in terms of Hans, if there's iron,
I also think there's a big difference too. Like, I think one thing that's not said here is there's a big difference between something online in a prize money tournament versus just a random casual game. I mean, my general attitude is quite straightforward. I think, like, if there is proof of cheating, like in prize money tournaments, I mean, I can't really be that forgiving of it. But if it's like a casual game or something like that, that's a whole different story altogether. So I think there probably are degrees as well.
Proof that somebody has that he has cheated, then he can be banned for a period of time. Of course, we're going to suspect, it's going to tarnish his career forever. I mean, that's already, the ship has already sailed. But we start with ironclad proof.
What is ironclad proof, Maurice, in your opinion?
Well, somebody caught him with a device. He has admitted doing it himself, like during the incidents in question. Data that just shows beyond a shadow of a doubt that nobody plays 100% like an engine 10 tournaments in a row. Yeah, I mean, that's cool with me. That there can be real proof. And if he has,
I mean, isn't he like this? This feels like it's going off onto the Yosha tangent here, where it's basically saying, like, he says, "How about 6? Yeah, it's just 10, not 6." I mean, yeah.
This, he deserves to be punished, and it's up to the International Chess Federation or the authorities to decide how long this should last. But there has to be some oversight as well, guys. Who oversees this in chess? Who oversees?
Well, that's the question, right?
Yeah, that's the question. Who oversees this? Our sport is so shaky on these grounds that we're like, well, who's supposed to handle this? Is it supposed to be FIDE? But wait a minute, it's chess.com or is it chess24 or these private entities? Who oversees these banning procedures?
True, very true.
Is there a solution to that? Because let's say you don't catch someone in the act with a phone in the bathroom or on camera. Let's say you only have statistical evidence, but nothing which is 100% conclusive. And chess.com decides that's enough to ban him, but FIDE decides that's not enough to ban someone. Is there any solution if two parties disagree on this? Because that has happened.
I mean, you guys can say that FIDE is doing a poor job, but I mean, to be fair, this has not been a big issue. That's the thing. This has not been a huge issue. Can I skip ahead to the analysis? I was supposed to cover this for like 20 minutes and then get to like all the analysis.
We know that different organizations.
Let's just listen to what Maurice says.
Have come up with different thresholds of evidence to decide if someone's a cheater or not.
I think a private organization like chess.com can do whatever it wants, basically, right? They have their own policies that they can subscribe to. I think FIDE is completely different. They're covering all of chess, and they have to have whatever rules they put in place for their competitions or competitions that are rated by FIDE. FIDE doesn't necessarily organize all chess competitions, as we know. They have those as well. But those that are rated by FIDE also are being sanctioned by them. So something like the Sinkfield Cup, which is not organized by FIDE, but is FIDE rated, they have to look into it because rating points are being exchanged. That alone. So
True.
I think in those competitions, FIDE has to step in. FIDE has to make strong statements. FIDE has to investigate. And as far as chess.com events, I don't think they can speak to those things because they're not FIDE rated, from what I understand, and it's not under their umbrella.
Maurice, I want to ask you, and I want to read a part of Magnus's statement. We must do something about cheating, and this is quoting. And for my part going forward, I don't want to play against people that have cheated repeatedly in the past, because I don't know what they are capable of doing in the future. How is Magnus going to select who he's going to play against, and how does he know who cheated in the past? We know that chess.com came with a statement that is actually Danny Ranch, in fact, that said that Magnus did not see the list of players being banned by chess.com before he made his decision to withdraw from the Singfield Cup. How is he going to target the people, let's say, that have been banned in the past?
I know you're not asking me for the answer to that question. I don't know what he's going to do. Magnus is going to do Magnus. I think, the fact that chess.com has just bought Play Magnus. I say Magnus did not see the list beforehand, has he seen the list now?
True.
All those people on that list, are they quaking in their boots? Are they going to be outed? How many of them?
Yeah, again, I have to say, I think, the thing is, I get the point that they're trying to make here about the number of times. They're saying, like, people have cheated, but the thing that is really important to note, and it is not being said enough times here, is that it sounds like in the case of Hans, this is not a one-time thing. That is the problem with all this. Like, again, as I said, I use those two names before, so Raunik and Parham, for example. I believe they were both banned from League Shots. I think that was the site they were banned from for cheating, right? They were banned like one time. But you don't hear anything more about it beyond that. That's all you hear. You don't hear about over the board. You don't hear about online. In fact, they're back and they're allowed to play. And I played both of them, and I have no doubt that they're completely clean. I have no doubt in my mind that they're completely clean. So that is the one difference. That somehow it feels like with this Han situation, there are multiple instances. That's what it feels like, and that's what is kind of, I think, the thing that's really making the situation much different. Much different than like the situations involving Parham or Raunik specifically, because those are the two guys that I know of. Why wasn't Hans banned like Susan Polgar was? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, didn't chess.com say it banned like thousands of accounts?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thousands of
Exactly.
accounts.
Of titled players.
And also another example, I'll say, another example is, people talk about Petrosian, for example. I actually played Petrosian, I think after that I played him in the World, maybe it was before actually, I think it was 2019, but I played him in the World Rapid Blitz or something. He played in 2021. There is nothing about Petrosian doing anything over the board either. Like Petrosian, yes, there's that, the whole online situation, that's it. But you don't hear any of these rumors elsewhere. Again, it's just that one instance in the Pro Chess League that you hear about. You don't hear people saying, there are no rumors about like, oh, he played the World Rapid and Blitz and something happened. You don't hear anything beyond that. So that's the biggest thing in my opinion. It's like makes the situation so different than anything else.
How many players are we talking about? I mean, I'm so glad I retired a long time ago. People probably like you who have to play in this era. It's incredible that this is happening. It's sad, but
very true.
And I mean, if you out all these players, how many reputable players or so-called reputable players? How many strong players? How many in the top 20? Like, this is horrible for us.
I can't carry it.
Yeah, but speaking specifically about this situation, Hans got sort of, let's say he didn't get absolved, but Reagan came out on behalf of FIDE, came out saying there was no evidence in the past 2 years. So from FIDE, we have an official position that there's no evidence that Hans cheated in the past 2 years. So what Magnus is doing now, which is sort of levying a soft ban on Hans, right? Because he's saying, I'm not going to play against this guy, and he's the world champion, which means that this is very damaging to Hans. In light of what FIDE said, is Magnus taking too cavalier of a position without having, video evidence of Hans with Stockfish in his hand?
I can't carry anymore.
Is what he's doing wrong?
I think he's really skating a very thin edge by coming out with a soft position that he might say stronger position. It's stronger than he's done so far, but it doesn't feel as though he said anything that we didn't believe he believed, right?
Yeah.
Like, he seemed to have said stuff that's like, yeah, that seems like what we thought Magnus believed. Pretty much what he said. Nothing sort of necessarily freshly revealing. maybe in the individual game that they played over the board, the Singfield Cup, that I felt like he came out a bit more strongly because he didn't just refer to online chess. So that one and his belief that Hans acted a bit too aloof in the game, right? Like Hans should be working harder to beat him. That kind of attitude. That I felt was more intuition. Of course, it's Magnus, so he knows. Fabio, how hard it is to beat him, and how hard you have to work to get past this guy.
I value a chess player's intuition, feeling like something's weird, right? And Magnus, of course, he has very valuable intuition. God knows how many games, so he knows how humans play. So he felt something was weird, but we can't put any stock into that as the chess world as a whole. I mean, we can definitely respect that he knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
But that's not something that you can really put 100% faith in.
True.
It feels like a very difficult position.
The thing is, there are a lot of stats, though. This is the thing. The thing is, like, yeah, I mean, the thing you can't really codify it, but the thing is, these stats. I mean, this is the big question: is these stats. This is the big thing. Is it's not just like a feeling now. We're seeing the stats. We know that something happened online, and that's the other part of the equation.
I understand that what he's doing. Like, I can see how people have a problem with this as well.
Look, Magnus, as we know, is the ultimate sportsman, right? We've seen him time and time again do things that just show that his sportsmanship is beyond the pale. The time when, for example, Ding Loren lost connection during a match, right? And he said, "Okay, that's it. I'm resigning the next game so that we can have an even match. It's not fair to Ding that he lost internet connection."
True.
So he's shown that the integrity of the game is important to him. That competition, that whenever he's in competition, he wants to win fairly. He wants to show that it's based on ability and not on some kind of fluke occurrence. So no question about it, he wants to protect the game. And we appreciate that from Magnus. The question is this the way to go about it? Has he done it in a way that protects the game? In a way that
Right. I mean, this is probably the crux of the whole situation. That's really, really difficult to understand. Which is like the problem is, what are you supposed to do? Like, yeah, people that say it's handled in the wrong way, but how was Magnus supposed to handle this when what he was saying wasn't being taken seriously? It sounds like he felt very uncomfortable playing the tournament to begin with. Nepo said something too, and still, when you look at the tournament, St. Louis itself did nothing with their procedures. They changed nothing from the basic security measures that they had when I played in the Rapid and Blitz tournament before the Singfield Cup. They did nothing to change the situation. They basically, in my opinion, they heard what was said and they laughed it off. They basically like, okay, you guys are just a bunch of crackpots. You don't know what you're talking about. You might be the best players in the world, but you're paranoid, you're jealous, whatever it might be. So it begs the question, like, yes, you can say Magnus didn't handle it correctly, but how else was it supposed to be handled if you basically, like, if you're going to play in a tournament, multiple players express concern about what's happening, and then they aren't taken seriously? What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do there when you're not being taken seriously by the organizers? I mean, this is the $1 million question. The $1 million question. Like, what are you supposed to do? That's what everybody seems to miss in all this stuff. Is like, yeah, Magnus could have handled it differently. But what could Magnus really have done, honestly? What could Magnus have done differently? Is he supposed to basically make like a public statement? Like withdraw from the tournament, make a statement about it? I mean, maybe he's supposed to do that. Is he supposed to make a statement and say that like he thinks you know, like what Hans is like cheating? I mean, again, there's all this legal stuff too behind the scenes. So I mean, in my opinion, like I know people want to be really mad at Magnus first, and I also like I feel like there probably had to be a better way to handle it. But what was he supposed to do? If you're the world champion, if Nepo, it sounds like, also says something before, and they both feel uneasy. You're talking about the world champion. You're talking about the challenger. And oh, Fabiano said the same thing later. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand. Like, that's the thing. If the challenger and the world champion both express concern, and these are professional players, they spent their whole lives playing the game, and they're concerned, it's on the organizers to take them seriously and not basically just laugh it off. So I that's one part of the story that I think has been completely missed throughout all of this is you know, that there is some amount of responsibility for the situation that falls on the Chess Club and Scholastic Center of St. Louis. That's just how it is.
that protects the rights of individual players who are not on his level. And the fact that he's waited so long before finally making a statement is definitely tricky. The fact that his statements are based on intuition, feeling, that makes me uncomfortable. That makes me uncomfortable. Even if this individual that he's targeted so far, because again, we know there are others who have done so, at least we've heard that there are others that have done so in mass. Even though he's targeted this specific individual, it just feels like it just has to be done another way. There has to be more clarity, more proof. I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah, you guys, you're saying yes. St. Louis agreed the night before Magnus left. They agreed to make changes. Yes, but that's too late already because, as we know from the storyline, it sounds like Nepo and Magnus both had concerns before the event even began, and nothing was done until Magnus threatened to withdraw and ultimately did withdraw from the tournament. So that's why when people say this, you know, I feel like Magnus should have been able to handle it better, but I don't know what he was supposed to do when he's not being taken seriously. He's not being taken seriously, and neither was Nepo.
Crushing people's career, especially not a 19-year-old, somebody not old enough to drink here in the U.S. at least. You got to be careful how this is done. I don't think it's come out the best way.
What if you felt there was no other way, that the burden of proof that you're asking for, or that people in general are asking for, is just unobtainable, that you'll never reach this? Because
that's a great statement. Your line is a great statement. You can say the burden of proof required for me to confirm my intuition is not attainable at this time. It really isn't. But my feeling is very strong as a player who has been around for quite some time, and I know how people play. What I have seen in the information that I've seen, and it would be nice for us to see that. And from my feeling as a player, watching somebody play, I think that's something that the person's taking.
But that's essentially what he's saying, right?
You're saying that's essentially what he's saying. That's not what he said. You're giving him the benefit of the doubt by making that kind of properly worded statement.
Well, he also said, and you commented on this, Maurice, there is more that I would like to say. Unfortunately, at this time, I am limited in what I can say without explicit permission from Neiman to speak openly. And you mentioned this, and you said it's mystifying why he needs Hans to give his permission to say more after dropping bombs on the young man's head. Will the truth ever come out? Sad times for chess. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the case, right? Like, isn't it weird that you accuse somebody of something and then say, well, I can't say more until you tell me I can say more? That's wild. I don't think I've ever heard that. I don't think I've ever heard that anywhere.
I mean, there has to be something. Like I said, there has to be like an NDA, or there has to be something. It's just that simple. There has to be something legal, and that's why not more is being said. That's all there can be to it.
You accuse someone of something and then ask them for permission to really bury you, right? With your accusation. It can only happen in the weird and wacky world of chess, it feels like. But
this is a lawyer statement, right?
This is definitely a lawyer statement.
But also, that's the thing, though. Honestly, if you're innocent, like, if Hans is completely innocent, I honestly would just come out and be like, okay, yo, show me what proof you have, because I'm completely innocent. I mean, that's what, I mean, again, maybe, like, from a legal standpoint, you're told to do something else. But I would honestly be like, yeah, like, okay, you guys think you have something? Just show me what it is. Sure, I mean, just show me what it is. Because if they don't have anything, then Hans is going to be vindicated regardless. So that's what I don't understand in this whole situation. Like, that's what I don't get. I don't get it. Like, why doesn't Hans be like, why doesn't he just laugh and be like, okay, sure, show me what you have, because you don't have anything. But that's the thing. Like, I mean, that's what I don't understand. I mean, unless we're saying that in fact they do have something. I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, to me it seems like if there is nothing, it's just slammed and you'd be like, okay, show me what you have, because you guys don't have anything. That's how I view it. I completely view it that way.
I can't.
Yeah.
This is definitely a lawyer statement. But again, it's asking Hans for permission. Like, still, you know, Hans is who's going to give you permission to bury them? Nevertheless, I think it's where we're just looking at edges being skirted, unclear what. Some things are clear what he believes. He's clearly stating what's in his heart. But on the other side of things, the kind of bomb that he dropped that has definitely compromised this young man's career forever. It feels like it could have been done differently. It could have been done differently. And Fabi, you were in the tournament. Let me ask you. You were in an event, in the middle of an event where he played 3 rounds, right? There's a point where he's been competing. You're thinking about, I'm gonna have to play this guy at some point.
Sisters turn the tide.
And then suddenly he's gone.
Evil.
That's never happened to you before.
No, it hasn't. I didn't think much of the games that Hans played, or the Magnus against Hans game. I didn't think much of it at the time. And when I was told, literally 5 minutes before the 4th round, something big will happen before this round, I had no idea. I didn't think that it was because someone maybe cheated and someone left the tournament because they suspected something. I hadn't. This was totally off my radar, and I'm someone who is extra vigilant about cheating, as you both know.
Exactly, yeah.
I really, it concerns me a lot, but I just didn't think of that. And okay, for me, 3 games is just too little data to draw any conclusions.
Of course, obviously.
No matter what the accuracy of those games is, I just can't make a conclusion off of 3 games. I mean, if you do that, then you have to start, you have to ban me for 2014 Syncfield, because I also played some.
But no, you don't actually, Fabiano. We don't have to ban you for Syncfield 2014 because even when you played your best, you were only hitting 80% with the let's check accuracy. So no, Fabiano. Unfortunately, we don't have to ban you because you're just a terrible chess player and you weren't playing at 100% correlation. So no, Fabiano, we don't have to ban you because you were at 80%. So you're a terrible chess player.
Really high quality games in that tournament. So I think it's just too little data. But it's not just.
No, we did this yesterday. We looked at like 2 or 3 of Fabi. We looked at like two or three of Fabiano's games yesterday. And we looked at them and he was like 80. It was like I think he had one that was like 88. But it was in the 80s. Like, I mean, Fabiano is just like, I mean, what can I say? Like, Fabiano is trying to say, yeah, you played great chess, but I do wonder if Fabiano has gone back and looked at his games and he's like, if he hasn't done it yet, I'm sure he's going to do it because someone will obviously clip this and send it to him. But he's totally going to. Fabiano is totally gonna do a WTF. He's gonna be like WTF. Like this game is not like 95. I guarantee you, he's gonna do that. He's gonna look at it. He's gonna be like, he's gonna throw his hands and be like, what? But that's like the best turn I ever played. And it's still. Oh, he does it later in the video, no less. Okay.
It's on 3 games for Magnus, right? This
Okay.
is based on a year or 2 years or however many years of him thinking, oh shit, this guy is cheating, and then suddenly he plays him, and then he's like, all my fears are confirmed, right? That's how it happened. That's how I imagine it went down for him.
And he played, by the way, in the tournament anyway, even though he suspected him beforehand.
But he said he didn't want to.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to, right?
He didn't want to, but he pulled out after he lost. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
If he had
that's true.
defeated Hans in that individual game, would he have continued to play? Right?
That is the one thing that is the one big thing. Like, if Magnus had won this game against Hans, he would not have withdrawn. That is the one inconsistency in the problem. That is the one inconsistency. I will say that is the one inconsistency. It's like, if that game had been a draw, or if Magnus had won the game, he would not have withdrawn from the tournament. That is the one thing. So that's the one inconsistency that is very hard to reconcile, for sure. Absolutely.
Existed?
That's a good question.
It feels
We'll
like it
never know.
required the loss for him to say, no, I don't want to go any further. So,
Not only that, but he also expresses this in his statement. Throughout our game in the Syncfield Cup, I had the impression that he wasn't tense or even fully concentrating on this game in critical positions. And you know that as a chess player, as a grandmaster, you know that you're feeling the tension in your opponent's body language. Perhaps this is something that triggered the suspicion for Magnus. I tend to take those type of accusations definitely with a grain of salt, because sure, you can watch somebody's body language, but you cannot know what's in that people's mind and that people's body as well.
I mean, do you ever watch Eric Geisy play chess?
I've heard he's very calm, yes.
It doesn't matter what's going on. It looks like he's never happy during a game. He's never flustered by anything. He doesn't look. He looks like he's ready to fall asleep. I mean,
True.
Maybe not sleep, but
Yeah, he
there's
has no
pulse when you're
expression at
watching,
all.
You cannot tell, and he's admitted, yeah, of course I'm feeling extremely nervous, but you're looking at his face. You don't see any of that. No reactions, no bouncing back, no recoil when it's a bad
Very true.
situation. Simply nothing. So that's a hard one, and a lot of us try to keep that poker face. I know I was one of those players, right? Keep poker face when you're playing. Now, tension in the body, tension in the shoulders, that's a little difficult to hide. But
Oh, he started showing body language when he was getting blown away by Magnus.
that one's too general for me. That one's too general for me. When you're talking about this serious an accusation.
Yeah, this feels a little bit like his other, statement in general that the game felt weird. That feelings you can't really put much stock into it. You can personally,
But
like,
I mean, didn't Magnus fall asleep during a world championship match against Fishy? Like,
I don't know if I don't remember that.
I don't think he fell asleep. He was pretending that he was taking a nap. Yes.
okay,
Yes.
fine. Like, how much calmer and lacking attention can you be to playing a world championship match?
True.
And you look
Very
like
true.
you're sleeping. I mean, that's
Yeah, we can't, like, when I played Hans, and with 100% certainty I can say that he wasn't cheating in the game we played. I also felt a bit
I love the way
weird, as
I love
in
the way that Fabiano just laughs there.
the guy doesn't seem to be taking this game seriously. And I can see how if I had lost that game, it would make me think, this was really weird. A guy who doesn't care about the game suddenly just crushed me. But what happened is he lost the game. So maybe it's just his character. I don't know.
True.
Like, I can't read too much into body language because I think humans in general are really bad at reading body language. You think you're good at that, but you read into stuff which has no meaning, and I see that like time and time again with like chess commentators all the time. Like, reading into a bit of my body language, and I'm like, that's not what I was thinking at all. So
Basically, what also here he's not saying, but Fabiano is essentially throwing people like Danya Naroditsky and Danny Wrench under the bus here, because like the number of times during the candidates that you've heard the two of them say something about like me or Fabiano, and they're just like, oh yeah, like they're clearly thinking this, and then you play a completely different move, and like you weren't thinking that at all. Like it is a very good point here by Fabiano.
well, yeah, I don't know if we
Are
can
you
put weight
accusing
into
me
it.
of something, Bobby?
No,
Are you
I'm-
leveling accusation?
No,
Not
I'm
about
not accusing
Maurice.
you. Actually, I saw
about-
this recently with Danya.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
understand
Yeah.
why commentators do that, right?
Yeah. It's
you
about
have to
Wrench
keep it
and
interesting.
Naroditsky, 100%.
But yeah, body language, not something that you can really read.
Yeah, and a lot of it is how you felt beforehand, right? Like if you if you believe something initially, you might read into what the person is doing, and this happens
True.
often. Anything they do seems to be a confirmation. We call it confirmation bias. Seems to be a confirmation of what you previously believed, and so it's easy to say, well, he's acting weird if you already thought he acted weird in the past.
True, very true.
Maurice, you also mentioned that this is sad times for chess, but can this turn into a positive? Let's say hypothetically that Magnus or chess.com come out with some undeniable proof, and let's say we put cheating in the spotlight, and that adds extra pressure on future cheaters. Could that be a positive in the long term?
That's an absolute positive.
Absolutely.
That is an absolute positive.
Definitely.
However, it's already completely in the public eye. This is not a chess matter anymore. It's I'm doing interviews for the Wall Street
good point,
Journal.
yeah.
I'm sure you've done interviews as well. I'm doing interviews for PBS NewsHour tomorrow. It's something that the public is now.
Yeah, I mean,
intrigued
it's
by.
like this
It's-
morning before I streamed, I did an interview for the Washington Post. So this is everywhere now.
also become a laughing stock for us, especially after that Elon Musk tweet. Like, seriously, we're not looking very good as a sport, right? We've become a laughing stock. Stephen Colbert comes out with his skit.
I can't carry anymore.
Well, they do say
I mean, at the end of the day, the point is Elon caused all of that. If Elon hadn't put out that tweet, this still would be big news, but you wouldn't have that whole comical side to everything if not for Elon's tweet. He totally started all of that.
there is no such news as bad news. I mean, any publicity is something. But yeah, you're right. It does make chess look like a bit of a joke.
I mean, tell that to O.J. Simpson. Tell that to Lance Armstrong. I mean, what do you mean? There, of course, there's bad news that can rub off elsewhere as well. And how do you
what?
How do you solve this? We talk about pressure on cheaters. Maybe you drive them
what?
into
Wait, bad news. Wait, what? Sorry, wait, what did he just say? Sorry, I have to go back. I'm kind of confused.
Tell that to Lance Armstrong.
Like a
I
bit
can't carry any.
is something. But yeah, you're right. It does make chess
I
look like a
can't
bit of a
carry
joke.
any.
I mean, tell that to O.J. Simpson. Tell that to Lance Armstrong.
I don't understand. Is Marie saying that Lance Armstrong and O.J. Simpson are innocent or guilty? I'm confused. What is he actually saying? I'm kind of confused. Is he defending Lance Armstrong and O.J. Simpson? I don't understand. He's saying there is that. Okay. Okay. Anyway. Okay. He's talking about publicity being good or bad. Okay. Okay.
What do you mean? There, of course, there's bad news that can rub off elsewhere as well. And how do you solve this? We talk about pressure on cheaters. Maybe you drive them into even more surreptitious methods. I mean, Hans is being wanded. You all are being wanded thoroughly before playing in these tournaments, right? Like, how do
But
you?
to raise this point, I was told this by people who know these things. The detectors that were being used were not sufficient. They were cheap. They wouldn't be able to pick up any sort of hidden device. You know, if you had to cheat in chess with
Okay. Here goes Fabiano. Yeah, Fabiano off to the races now.
a gun, then they would probably pick up the gun. But short of that, they probably won't find whatever you might be looking for. But I think one good thing that could really come out of it is the delay on games. I think that could really help.
Indeed, that could really help. But I am also
Oh
looking
my
at the bigger
gosh.
picture. You're talking now about professional events where there are cameras on those events. What
I
about
just can't believe Fabiano had a gun. I just can't believe that. Let me go back. I have to watch it one more time.
You might be looking for. But short of that, chess any sort of hidden device. They were cheap. They wouldn't be able to pick up any sort of hidden device. You know, if you had to cheat in chess with a gun, then they would probably pick up the gun. But short of that, they probably won't find whatever you might be looking for. But I think one good thing that could
That's
really come
so
out of it
bad.
is the delay on games. I think that could really help.
Indeed, that could really help, but I am also looking at the bigger picture. You're talking now about professional events where there are cameras on those events. What about the thousands of amateur players?
This is
Tens
the
of
problem
thousands,
too.
hundreds of thousands of amateur players playing in tournaments worldwide. What do you do for those events? I mean, there are all kinds of world
Very
teaching
true.
championships that get played. Now that everyone knows that there may be some way of communicating in a surreptitious way, what about those events? You
I
can't-
mean, this is also the big part of the problem. Like top level events, you probably can change the security around the events. You can probably have ways to prevent this from happening. But in open tournaments, I think it's impossible. I really do. I don't know how you're supposed to stop cheating. Like whether it's something complicated, whether it's something basic, I don't know how you're supposed to stop it already. I don't know. I don't think there is a way to stop it in open tournaments. That's my honest opinion. I think if someone is clever, it's not possible to stop even basic cheating where someone takes a phone into the bathroom. I really don't think it's possible. Unless you have tournaments that are held, like for example, the tournament Maurice organized was the millionaire tournament in Las Vegas, and that tournament was played in a casino, so you have cameras everywhere watching the players. But if you're just playing at like a normal convention center, I don't know how you're supposed to stop it. I don't think you can without spending a lot of money, or without like FIDE basically spending a lot of money and supplying organizers with some of the stuff. I don't think there's any way to prevent it.
cover all the bases. I mean, genius out of the bottom. And
Big open tournaments, hopeless.
big open events
Hopeless.
with big prizes, world opens.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's the only way I can see out of this is given that the incentives to cheat are so high due to the financial financial points that you can
Well,
earn.
you guys are saying that in your over the board tournaments, everyone has to put their phones in the bin. But what's to stop me from having a phone that I put in the bin and having another phone in my jacket when I go to the board? Like, I assume you're talking about Germany or somewhere. I mean, unless they're actually scanning people, you could just have two phones and you just put one in the bin and you keep the other one in your jacket. I mean, like, that's the thing. Unless it's like you have to, unless you actually scan, like, it's about morals. That's all it is.
Turn. We should make the decision by FIDE, for example, to ban these players very, very significantly. Let's go from 6 months up to like 5 years, depending on whether you cheated before or not. So
Right.
I think
Where can
the
I
bans
take you?
should match the incentives, and I see that as the only way out.
I agree. I do.
But we don't really have a system for it. Like, who got banned from chess?
But I mean, yeah, you guys are saying it doesn't matter if someone cheats in a local tournament. Seems like you need to weed out the top level. Why is that fair though? Why is it fair that there's like a tournament with $100 prize from every weekend? Let's just say an amateur event under 2,000 rating. Like, why is it fair that someone can go win that tournament every single week and get $100, or like once a month and get $100? Like, that isn't right either, though. It isn't right.
Cheating at
Rouses, yes.
Feller,
Bindrich.
anyone else? I can't think of
Bindrich.
anyone besides Rouses.
Falco.
But there was-
Bindrich.
Feller, how many years did Feller get? Did he get 5 years?
I can't carry
Was it less than that?
I think it was
I am
2.
overburdened.
I
I
thought
don't remember exactly.
I thought 3 years or 5 years.
I think it
something
was
along
3,
those lines. Yeah.
And there was like his accomplices, right, who were
Hello.
Arnaud Hachard and
Good
Cyril
day.
Marzolo.
Mhm.
Because he was running. This is like what I mentioned about how if it's a conspiracy, the more people involved, the harder it will get to hide it for a long period of time. They had 3 people, and eventually it got discovered because of some leaked text messages, right? So the more people you have involved, the bigger chance there is that something comes out. But yeah, we don't have a uniform, like, you know, if you cheat online, you get a 1-year ban. If you cheat over the board, you get a 5-year ban. That stuff doesn't exist as of yet.
Maurice,
I agree with the banning. I think that you're right, Christian, that it is important that the ban fit the
I
crime
can't carry anymore.
because our game is so information dependent. It's very subtle. I mean, if I walk over to Fabi, I don't need to tell Fabi that what move to play. All I need to say is, Fab, and he's gonna go, oh, really? There's a good one, huh? You start looking and
True.
find it very quickly.
True.
So our game is so sensitive to any sort of information being communicated to the player that we have to be vigilant. We have to definitely be decisive in terms of banning players, and I agree. Probably 3 years is not enough. Probably it has to be draconian. Is it 5? Is it 10?
Light
Is it
guide my
lifetime?
way in this accursed
I'm not
place.
comfortable with lifetime because I do believe in the rehabilitative powers of the world. I don't like to think that somebody's guilty forever, but it definitely has to be very strong measures in order to
Yeah, I mean, I think anything above 10 years is too much, though, honestly. Because, I mean, 10 years is basically a lifetime ban, honestly. Like, 10 years is a lifetime ban. At the end of the day, it is. So, I mean, I think 10 years is enough. I really do believe that.
for people from doing this. So we don't have
Texas
to
would disagree.
exacerbate
Okay,
in the
thank you.
future.
Yeah.
But I think you made a really good point that it's not necessary even to give a computer line. Like, let's say you take a top player. You know, it can be whoever you want. It can even be Magnus, and you don't even tell him a single move during the game. You just tell him your position is good now.
Yeah, actually, you know, this is a perfect example. Look at the game that I played earlier in Title Tuesday against Radek Wojtaszek. Like, I knew I was worse, and that 98 move that Wojtaszek played against me, like move 17, it felt wrong. And if someone
The
came up
light
to me and they could
can
say, like, now your
never
position
be
is good, I would
extinguished
know
by
that it's Bishop
evil.
B3. It wouldn't take me a second. I wouldn't take even a second. Wouldn't take me more than 5 seconds to realize that it's Bishop B3. That's how simple it is. I mean, that is actually how simple it is. If we look at the game I played against Wojtaszek at Title Tuesday earlier, like, those of you who are here watching it, like, I was like, I could feel there's something was wrong with that move, but I didn't know what it was. But if someone came in there like, okay, now you're doing well, I would have played Bishop B3 in 5 seconds. 100%. 100%.
How may I help you?
You're starting to get slightly worse now. You just tell him like the general trend of the evaluation. That is so much information.
Oh,
You don't even have to tell him like
Yeah.
you have a winning move now. If you say that, then you're already in territory where like the guy will find every single winning chance
Welcome to my shop.
in every game that he plays.
True.
But just telling him general trends, not moves. And I don't think you can catch this. It's no matter how sophisticated your cheating algorithm is. But you have to have a strong player to start with. And okay, Hans is a very strong player. I mean,
Right.
there's no doubt in anyone's mind that that he plays very well. But as we know, you can be a strong player and you can be a cheater. Those are not mutually exclusive things.
Very true.
Yeah, the word is sad. Very sad times for chess. So let's hope positives come out of this. It starts at the very top with FIDE. It definitely is a challenge for the national chess federations all around the world. And world champion like Magnus and top players like yourself, Bobby, you're gonna have to come out with some strong statements on this regard to somehow let everyone know this is absolutely unacceptable. Cannot be a part of our world.
Maurice, that's a great statement
All right, so that's where we'll leave it for this. I'm gonna take.
Humans do tend to
make mistakes.
to pardon my language, to fuck it up. That's usually what happens, because to me it doesn't look like bishop e6 is a bad move. I mean, it's a move, yeah. It might suddenly come to mind as a bad move after you calculate, but on first glance, it's a move.
Can't carry this.
True.
So,
Very true. Yeah.
Okay, bishop d7.
Yeah, it's very strange to not contest the bishop. Either take it or
Bishop
play bishop
d3.
for sure.
Yeah, so white is preparing d4, very natural.
You have to do something about it, unless you want to lose the momentum that you have.
Okay, so g3. So this is already a moment where he has to find d3.
Correct. Only move to keep an edge. And
Only move.
This is Mishra game, yeah.
But not only that, only move not to get significantly worse.
correct.
So
True.
a lot of people would just castle here. I can say that. Because
Yep,
they would castle,
absolutely.
they would calculate d4, and then they would think d4, knight,
Knight
c6.
c6 or g6.
Why do
yeah.
I care?
Or G6.
Or g6. And then, well, yeah, I was just worried maybe knight f6 is a bit loose, so
So
you
you
don't-
go knight c6.
Yeah, knight c6 is
But
more
yeah,
human
I don't know.
for sure. But
One of
both
those
moves
moves,
are fine.
and then
Yeah.
you think, okay, I'll play h4, I'll play h3, g3, and
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
what's wrong with that? A lot of people would think that.
Very true.
So, again, that's g3 is a very strong move. Let's put it that way.
Let's put it
H3.
that way.
And he follows it up with, once again, the only move that he mentioned, knight f to g4. Castle, which is, once again, a
Okay,
very
but
natural move.
actually, knight f g4, I think,
After
If you
I play
play
g3,
G3,
it
I
makes
think it's a
sense.
follow-up. You think
yeah,
it's
because
an
it's
automatic.
very obvious that h takes g4 loses, right? I mean, you just get mated on h.
Okay, I'll ask you
Right.
one question. Why wouldn't you start with castle first? Then?
Because then d4 and you can't play knight f g4, your knight's hanging. Then you have to play knight e g4, and then white comes in with maybe
Wait.
some queen move like queen f3.
Very
But because
true.
you
yeah.
you definitely want the
You still have knight h2 though, which is probably good.
you definitely want
Nonetheless.
to stop the queen from accessing. Yeah, knight h2. I was thinking maybe white sacked the exchange with queen d3, but e4 is hanging.
e4 is
and-
hanging. Yep. Yep.
So queen e2 is the move, and then knight f2. No, wait, like if
After knight
Queen
e4, queen e2 seems to be the best move.
I am
And if you go
overburdened.
knight h2 after rook f4, I guess you don't
Yeah,
have
so
a
like
good
even
way
this
to
doesn't
attack.
make any
oh wait,
sense
queen
at
e2,
all.
knight
yeah.
f2. Why is this different from the game?
No, he played knight
Ah.
h2 in the game.
Because it was the other knight. It was the other knight. That's why.
Okay, and this one is different because the knight can't be on f6. It's a very bad knight on f6.
You cannot attack the rook on f4.
Yeah.
With the knight
Yeah, the
from
knight's not
e5, you can
e5
attack
in
it
the other
with
line.
knight
That's
g6,
why.
which you
Okay.
lose the game.
Okay, yeah.
So
Alright.
that's the difference. And by the way, after knight to f2, the only move is queen to e3. Which, sure, yeah, I mean, it makes sense if you look at it, if you see it, but from afar, it's not that easy to spot.
Yeah, like this is very
Yeah,
true.
I can't
too.
say,
Like,
okay, knight f4 is not a difficult decision. It's a move that definitely comes to mind. Although I have to say, one thing which is weird is that this is like, you could have played g3 first, but you played bishop d7. And then rather than following up bishop d7 with the most natural
Castles,
follow-up,
right.
which is to castle long, you suddenly added a blue play g3.
All the way
Right,
here, yeah?
Disconnected. It's usually people think.
Yeah, because you create a sequence. You go bishop d7 and castle. You don't go bishop d7 and then g3. Like you don't change a sequence. Like the sequence doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna go g3, you should go g3 right away and then go for the knight g4 immediately, rather than bishop d7 and then throwing in g3. You should go bishop d7 and castle. Like like the sequence is off.
Not in like disconnected moves, but they think, I play this so that I can next play that.
Correct.
But okay, again, nothing out of the realm of possibility. But yeah, very impressive play.
Knight fg4, queen to e2. Once again, knight to h2. The only move in the position not to be much worse.
Well, this directly wins an exchange, right? Oh no, it doesn't.
No,
It doesn't at all.
It doesn't. No, it actually doesn't, which is the funny part.
Wait,
Yeah,
so
because you
rook
still
to
have to
f4.
you have to still deal d4.
If you go rook to f4 instead of queen to e3, yeah?
Rook
Yeah.
f4, you play rook h7?
Or queen g5. I think queen g5 makes much more sense.
And queen g5, queen e3, then queen g5, queen e3, do you suddenly have some kind
You
of...
have rook f6. Rook f6.
Oh yeah, rook f6, that just finishes the game up. Yeah. Okay, so that's why Mishra played
Queen
e3
e3.
first.
Yes.
I am overburdened.
So rook h7.
Okay.
By the way, at this point, I mean, you look at rook to g6, rook to h7.
By the way, rook h7 is not...
Oh, is there a
immediately
game where
obvious.
Fabiano says this is out of my league? What is the game where he says this is out of my league? Which game is it that he says that? Is it the game against? It's not Mishra, right? Which game is it? It's the next one. Okay, is it this one? It's this one? I don't know if I don't think I've ever seen this.
I'll never financially recover from this one.
Oh, that's the next timestamp. 140. Okay.
Knight f3 is 6.
Oh, it's this one.
What is b5? All right.
b5.
Is it still? By the way, is it still?
Oh no,
green?
it's further. It's
How's
further.
it
Okay,
green?
it's further. Let me go further. It's
But
201.
you kind of feel like it should somehow
I
turn
keep
south.
carrying.
But
Yeah, and it does. It's like +4, +3 point something. Okay.
So e4.
So bishop d3,
Greetings.
h6.
Your presence honors me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what bishop d3 kind of reminds me of? It's like in that other game, like some disconnected moves, like rook h4 is with the idea of rook h1, but then suddenly bishop d3 out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, h6,
That's
and then
true.
you played rook h2.
Yeah, actually, this is very true. Like, yeah, like I'm assuming, rook h1 is the obvious. Like, why do you play bishop d3 and not rook h1? That doesn't make any sense at all.
But yeah, h6, and then he played rook h2.
I mean, it's
I
not
mean,
crazy
to me, this,
now,
this
but
moment stood out to me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. I'm not saying it's impossible, but these sequence of moves, rook h4, bishop d3, and rook h2, just stood out to me.
They're a bit disconnected, yeah.
Mhm.
And by
It's-
the way, you kind of have to understand that. Wait a minute. If you go e4 right now, you take, and now you don't give a check on c4, because that actually doesn't have the same impact as a move earlier. h6 is already on the board, but you actually play bishop takes e4, and this somehow gives you a slightly better position, being a piece down. Now,
Yeah.
this assessment
But
how
for
is
this
white
position
better?
is
How is white
This
better
is,
here?
This
Very
is
s-
incredibly not
very
obvious.
strange.
I can't even comment
How is white even
because
better
it's
here?
so out of my league that
Yeah, actually, he literally says exactly what I'm saying. Like, this is ridiculous. I mean, I guess you can say white is better, but I mean, this is just so insane. And keep in mind, like, now you see the evaluation equal, but they're using the latest version of Stockfish.
like this is actually out of my league. This sequence of rook h4, bishop d3, rook h2.
But you kind of have to take on e4, right? I mean, at least if you go
But
bishop
it doesn't.
e2,
The whole
it's pretty
sequence is
obvious
off.
that
Yeah.
you're no longer better. And by the way, sorry, after bishop e2, h takes g5, the
went knight
best
e4
move
now?
forward is to actually go knight takes e4
Yeah, maybe he planned this
with
but,
an equal position.
But you sack a pawn, knight e4, gh4, gf4. I mean,
Yeah, rook h1,
Correct.
king
yeah,
f7.
not obvious.
Yeah.
Like you're taking risk with white.
This is
You
equal.
sack the pawn, and you kind of planned this when you played rook h4. Maybe it's not clear to me yet. Yeah, this is some quite incredible play. Okay, let's see how the game continued after rook h2. By the way, I see someone asking in chat, Klein is asking, what's the idea of rook h2? The idea is to play gh6, so in that sense, it's a normal move, but to start with, you didn't have to play rook h4.
True.
So you put your rook in the path of this, and then you go back 2 moves later. Yeah, it's quite. It's not. I have to say, this one is not natural to me. It's possible to find, of course, and everything is, but it's not a natural way to play.
Cool. All right. So black doesn't play e4. I guess he gets scared about knight takes e4, bishop to c4. Knight c5, g takes h6, knight takes d3, take on f4.
Again,
is the
GH6
of a
is not
twisted
an
mind.
automatic move. You give up your like the pride of your position, the bishop.
Sure.
But okay,
But
it's
you're
possible.
taking a pawn. So
I mean, bishop c6
Yeah,
is possible.
yeah,
I think
I guess
g6
you are
is
winning that
probably
one.
most
But to me, when
natural,
like
but
unobvious,
still.
unobvious decisions pile up and they're all the first line. Okay, a little bit. Let's continue.
knight takes d3, take on f4, take on g7 once again.
One, okay,
the
all
main
normal.
move.
By the way, can someone say how long rook h2 took? If Evan is in the chat. I'm just curious about rook h2 specifically.
4 minutes and 36.
They're classic.
Are we sure about that number?
Somebody else says 4 minutes. So it might
Okay, until yeah, that's confirmed.
we have
4
Scott.
minutes.
The question is the sequence of the moves,
So-
how long is it taking?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's see how it continues.
Take on g7, take on g7.
Yeah, normal.
Bishop
Normal.
h5.
Yep.
Okay, now rook h7 makes sense. King g6, rook c7. And by the way,
Makes
rook
sense.
h7, the only follow-up to actually continue having a better position is to go rook c7.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
this
why
makes
the
sense.
like GH6 is not obvious to me.
I
Because
can't carry anymore.
it's clear that
Rest in
white
peace.
is only better because of some sort
True.
of concrete initiative that he has.
That's true, actually. That's
Like,
a good point. Yeah, if
From
you
a
don't see it,
purely positional point of
yeah, if
view.
you don't see the whole idea of rook h7, rook c7, the whole this whole idea of gh6 to hg7 doesn't really make sense.
Here, black has the 2 bishops and equal imperial. Black isn't worse unless some concrete stuff
Right.
happens, which is what we've seen.
True.
Like rook f6, rook to h8, yeah? Yes. I guess, or no, maybe not even, because rook h8? Yeah, rook
b7.
h8, bishop b7, rook h7.
Yes.
Like something like this. Yeah, it's not,
Bishop c8.
not fully elementary stuff, you know?
So
That,
if you go rook h8, take and bishop b7, right? Yeah. And this is equal. So rook c7, bishop e6, and now it's just basically a pawn down.
Yeah, now you're just down a pawn.
doesn't
The,
seem like
the
there's
rest is
much.
pretty straightforward. So, okay, let's go ahead. We have another moment that we need to catch. What's this?
yeah, Christopher.
h6.
yeah, Christopher.
This game. Yeah, we saw this game yesterday. I'm curious to see what Fabian says, because this game actually looks really weird. Looks really, really weird. the
Went
way it's
ambitious. Bishop h6. Greedy, a greedy lad.
Really young lad, alright. D5, best move.
Yeah, but
And actually,
Crazy move to play.
in trouble now.
I mean, just a crazy move to
I
play.
mean, yeah, d5 feels pretty natural as well to me. I would only think like d5, bishop g7 is the only question. Otherwise, you just play d5.
What is
The only
he
thing
sacks
you
the whole
think about is
king- he
bishop takes
sacks
g7.
everything, right? It takes DE4. I mean, actually, as I look
Which
at
he
it,
did.
it's crazy when you're cherry picking.
Yeah,
No, but
well, what
no,
other
but I
moves
mean,
does white have? I mean,
but I mean, the thing here is like to play
Good to see
D5 and
you.
just sack a piece like this is definitely a little bit crazy. Just to sack the whole king side here and just take D5, D4, EF3, and then king B7. I mean, sacking everything. I mean, because I mean, we looked at the game briefly, so I didn't like really think about it much, but it is a little bit
you know,
wild.
d
to
takes
do
d4
this.
is a huge threat. So is d4.
Right.
So,
Greedy.
so you take.
D4
Take,
and then take on h6 because the knight on f6 is no longer attacked. Bishop takes g7, take. You have to calculate everything.
And
D takes
D4 again,
and the
only
knight
move
is
that's
not
an
coming.
advantage.
Wait,
Sorry, which move?
so d takes e4, and that's a piece sacrifice, the best
Yeah.
move by far. But after queen takes f6,
You just take F3 and you just win.
take on f3.
Where can I take you?
Yeah, I don't know.
And-
Like d4 is not obvious to me. Not obvious to me.
Why is the attack?
But yeah, knight
successful?
F5, knight F5 like playing the game. You don't like.
Well,
it's something. It doesn't
I
seem obvious
suspect
at
that
all.
rook
You have rook
dg8.
takes h2 at some point, yeah. So if you go
Well, let's
queen
just
f5,
make
for
a
example.
neutral move for white. Knight c3.
No,
Say
but
knight
queen
c-
f5 is something. Like
No, but let's say
Knight
let's flex
c3,
threat.
knight
So we play
c3.
knight
Yeah, what is
c3,
the threat?
yeah,
Agreed,
flex
yeah.
queen d2.
Queen d2. Okay.
And knight e2?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Like
Queen
queen
e3,
I'm
okay.
overburdened.
would be pretty devastating.
But
Because
it's
if
not
G-
obvious, right? I mean, I understand you see it, but from afar, do you see it that easily?
No. This
of course
d takes
not.
e4 is not obvious to me. So Evan says 41 seconds on d takes e4. 41 seconds.
That's ridiculous. That to my eyes
Yeah.
is ridiculous because you have other moves.
Let's
I
look
mean,
at
like-
that position.
You have like rook h6.
Let's just see. Okay, what are
Queen
moves?
e6
So
also.
d4, queen c5.
I don't know, queen
looks a
c6,
bit bad.
e5.
Queen d6, e5.
Mhm.
Probably
Rook
figure out
h6.
that's bad. Rook h6, possible.
But then knight f5,
6.
probably.
So what are we saying? That d takes e4 is absolutely forced?
No.
Because
But
knight
even,
h5.
okay, even if
Knight
it's
h5
forced,
too,
you don't
yeah.
play it in 41 seconds, do you?
Yeah. And by the way, knight h5 does not look bad. to me.
I mean,
You
like,
take and then you
there's
just
one key
develop
point
it.
here. Like, if I'm not mistaken, this is not a recent game, right? Isn't this a game from 2019? This is not a recent game, I don't think. You guys in chat can tell me if I'm wrong, but isn't this a game from like 2019 or something? When he was still like 2480, 2500. This is not a game that he played when he was like 2650 plus, I don't believe. Although I could be wrong on that. You guys can tell me, but this is a game from 2020. Yeah, this is a game from when he was like 2480. I'm covering it. No. I see 2430 for Christopher, but it doesn't show anything more. Okay, so yeah, so he's 20. So my face is not hiding. You see Christopher Hughes. Like if I move my camera, you see Christopher Hughes rating. You don't see Hans's rating. Just to be clear. You see it shows Christopher Hughes 2430. So this is Hans as a 2480, not as a 2650, 2670 player, as a 2480, and he just plays this whole sequence immediately. Oh, it says the date. Oh, I didn't see the date listed, but oh, it does 2020. Yeah, and the game's count. I see that. So yeah, this is a 2459, and he just plays d5 in 41 seconds and sees the whole thing to the end from very far distance. Yeah.
Okay, you're down 2 pawns. But on the other hand, you have the H and G files for your rooks.
Knight
knight
h5
h5,
looks like a
yeah.
very human move to me.
I mean, knight
Not
h5
impossible.
is slightly better for white, and I would assume you're still having to deal with
I mean,
a
your rook
tremendous
h8,
attack.
rook g8, very clear play for black.
So
Very
it's not
clear
obvious.
play.
Like knight d2, for example, is the only move in the position to actually maintain some
Like
sort
rook
of an
h8,
edge.
rook g8. I mean, all kinds of
And
ideas
after
here.
rook g8, knight f1, I would assume once again only move, or at least close to only move to maintain the edge.
Still,
And
still
then,
very
I
human.
mean, there's a lot of things hanging right in white's position as well. Like everything is pointing towards the white piece. It should be calculated. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, okay, this position is unclear. Let's start with white could just be losing here after queen h3. It's not inconceivable that queen h3 and you lose, right?
Correct.
So yeah, he takes e4 in 41 seconds if that's indeed the correct time. Little bit. Okay, again, we I don't think we checked this ourselves, but we trust the chat wouldn't lie to us.
That's actually a very.
I mean, yeah, we shouldn't like.
I don't think we should trust the chat too much, but let's assume we're going.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
with this,
Evan
this
hasn't
is-
lied to us yet.
Was that?
On the other
yeah,
hand,
41 seconds is definitely shocking.
We shouldn't.
Good
Yeah,
day.
just take this with a caveat that you know
If
we don't
I-
want
if-
to like
If Evan
make
said it,
false
I trust it.
accusations,
I
but
trust it.
but yeah, d takes e4. It's not a decision I would make in 41 seconds unless I
Yeah,
had.
I mean, the question is, you guys, how long did it take to play d5 before that?
Welcome
I mean, how long
back,
did it
my
take to play
friend.
d5 on the move before? I don't know if anybody knows, but if there is somewhere to see that, like, is this on Chess24's website, or where can you see it? That's the thing. Because if d5 was, yeah, 3 seconds, very funny. But that's the question. How long did he use to play d5? Someone on Chess24 can probably find it. I mean, what was it? Neiman 2020. Yeah. Let me see if they have it on Chess24. I don't know. I don't see it there. It's in Lead Chess. It's in Lead Chess, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Again, you never really know what the time situation is. But I still feel like, yeah, this idea of like d5 d takes e4 is yeah, it's a bit wild to be used a little bit. He's over boarding chess with Ray was 144. You said I saw someone say 55 seconds. I don't know if that's true, but yeah, this was an over the board game, guys. Over the board. Oh, we have it. Great. Oh, Anna Maya has it. Okay. Let me see. Do they show the time usage? This doesn't show. Oh no, this does show. Wait, this. Okay, so it shows that he used 17 minutes on H6. 6 minutes. Wait. If chess.com is to be believed, he used 25 seconds to play d5. He used 25 seconds to play d5, and then he played all these moves. He used like seconds to play every move, and then later when King B7 is played, he used 4 minutes.
You know, 1 minute.
If it's accurate, we don't know if it's accurate, but still.
And out of pure necessity, I had to make a decision in 41 seconds.
Yeah.
So I see a question in chat. Interesting. What if he spent 10 minutes on the previous moves?
He
and already
didn't,
calculated this.
That's the only problem.
Yeah, it's possible, but the previous moves were all kind of natural, so I think he would still hesitate at this point.
Greet Jared.
Kind of my, yeah, I think I would hesitate. It wouldn't come very naturally to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay.
To me,
let's
for
see
41 seconds to me is insane. Completely insane. Like I would not take this type of decisions in 41 seconds.
No, of course you wouldn't play.
Give me a few minutes and maybe I play the takes e4.
Yeah, I mean, probably here you take like you probably take like 5 to 10 minutes to consider taking on e4. You don't play this move in 41 seconds. You just don't. You don't do it in 41 seconds.
But 41
it's just that simple.
is completely insane. Queen takes f6, e takes f3. I mean, first of all, after queen to f5, here just trying to
you also have to put the right rook on g8 as well.
Both rook dg8 and rook hg8 are just like much better for black. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I think you kind of realize this quickly, but maybe you don't realize it in 41 seconds, 4 moves in advance. But at this point, once you see rook dg8, the knight is just trapped on g7. So, but still, I would count because, like, for example, rook dg8, queen d7, bishop d7, knight d2.
But no, rook dg8, I go rook e8, and you have to assess this.
Queen d7,
No,
you
but
take
also
with the
rook
king.
d8. I'm just like queen takes d7.
Not enough mana.
Yeah, just
Actually,
like
I don't
queen
think it's bishop d7.
You
I
take
think
with the
it's king
king,
d7.
right?
Correct.
Because bishop
Which
takes
is
knight,
not obvious
92
because
and white's
bishop d7
fine.
looks
Yeah.
like it traps a knight.
Correct.
Not enough mana.
But the bishop needs to be on c6 to protect that f3 pawn.
Precisely. And then you're allowing your king on d7 to be potentially checked after knight c3 rook d1. So there's things to calculate, right? That's all I'm saying. Like, probably you look at the position and you start assessing it, and it takes you a couple of minutes to understand that yes, indeed, you are better at this point with black. But you have to calculate.
Yeah, so apparently he didn't spend much time on this game as a whole. It was basically blitzed out the entire game. Okay, I don't know. This is so circumstantial I can't even begin to say how little weight this really should have. Like, I don't think people should be putting weight into this. That being said, to me it does strike me as very odd.
I mean, you played Christopher.
No, I actually haven't.
You haven't played.
Not in
Maybe in
class.
some online stuff, but nothing besides that.
I've played him a few times.
Not enough mana.
I mean, he's a very difficult.
A very good player. Very good
20.
player.
Sure, he was 24, 30, but I would assume his strength was somewhat close to a grandmaster.
What are we doing? We're covering this. We'll be playing Title Tuesday
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah, this one,
No, I mean,
not
Like-
spending almost any time is kind of impressive.
There's one more bit that I need
again,
to go
a
to, so let's go ahead.
discount. That disclaimer about Yosha's analysis, I don't think that she is at all a mathematician or statistician or anything. So, she's a chess player, but all the other stuff. I mean, she said this, yeah, that she's not qualified in any sort of statistical analysis. So, that part I would definitely discount. That being said, chess.com, also has their suspicions about him as a player based on some statistical analysis. So there is maybe some weight to that.
We
but,
presented what we thought are a bunch of views, a bunch of games. We analyzed it with our own eyes as well as with the engines, and we're going to let you make your own decisions, I guess.
Yeah, I think we should leave it at that. Nothing conclusive, but yeah.
I love how Fabio is smiling when
Excellent.
he says
All right.
that.
Well, Fabi, I think that's kind of ends
He
our
just like he
stream,
smiles
but
as
before we go, I
here's
do
your
want to ask,
conclusion.
this thing, chess boxing, is getting pretty big nowadays. Who would you like to fight?
I've never boxed. I think I would probably have a good shot against Anish.
Anish. Okay, all right. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, when am I fighting? I don't even know. Fabiano and I aren't like we're not in the right mix. But Fabiano would have trouble against Anish because isn't Anish like very tall?
Yes.
I think Anish is too tall. Yeah, Anish is like way too tall. That's the problem for Fabiano. So that would change it. Anyway, okay, that's it for that. Let's see. Okay, so apparently.
I can't carry it. I am overburdened. I am overburdened. I need mana. I can't carry it.
Naszego podcastu Każdy z Każdym posłuchasz tylko w aplikacji Empik Go.
Na początek sprawa szczególna. Napisała do mnie rodzina dziewczynki, o której była mowa w sprawie dla reportera. W tym odcinku, gdy pojawiła się Tamara i zaczęła grać na bębenku i coś tam nucić pod nosem. No i niestety całkowita kompromitacja tej szamanki sprawiła, że w ogóle temat owej dziewczynki Poli zszedł na dalszy plan. Rodzina myślała, że uda się zebrać trochę pieniędzy, ale się nie udało, bo odcinek zdominowała ta wariatka z czaszkami i z bębenkiem. Więc mam propozycję. Naprawmy to i pokażmy, że widzowie dziennikarskiego Zera mogą naprawdę komuś pomóc, w przeciwieństwie do kryształowych czaszek sprzedawanych przez Tamarę González Pérez. Więc teraz na ekranie zobaczcie link do skarbonki, którą założyłem. siepomaga.pl/na przepraszamy za Tamarę. I tam zbierzmy pieniądze dla Poli. Ile się uda, tyle się uda, ale spróbujmy naprawić krzywdę, jaką wyrządziła tamta... Dobra, nie będę już mówił kto. W każdym razie pod filmem też jest odpowiedni link. Zachęcam do wpłat. Już kiedyś trochę spektakularnych wpłat zrobiliśmy, więc powtórzmy to. No. Ktoś może zapytać, całkiem słusznie, jak zaoszczędzić pieniądze, żeby potem wpłacić je na pole? Jak zgromadzić odpowiednią sumę, by pomóc tej dziewczynce? Otóż doradzam. Pierwszy krok, jaki przychodzi mi do głowy, to nie kupować książki Mai Staśko pod tytułem Hejt Polski. To jest najgorsze, co możecie zrobić. Gdyby wam przyszło do głowy, że kupicie tą książkę, to po prostu tego nie róbcie, a zaoszczędzone pieniądze, tam 30 parę złotych, wpłaćcie na pole. Nie mogę powiedzieć, że w sensie prawnym zostałem okradziony. To byłoby nieprawdą. Po prostu ja sam jestem frajerem. Sam to sobie zrobiłem, sam tą książkę zamówiłem, zapłaciłem za nią. Maja nie przystawiła mi noża do brzucha, ale co zrobić? Czuję się okradziony. Czuję się okradziony, bo kupiłem tą książkę z myślą, żeby sprawdzić, jak bardzo jest zła. Ale to kurwa nawet nie jest książka. To nawet nie jest książka, to jest jakaś kpina, a nie książka. To jest bliżej jakiejś instalacji artystycznej w jakimś pseudomuzeum, gdzie ktoś zrobi kupę i wszyscy mówią kupa. I to jest właśnie kupa. Tak wygląda nowoczesna kupa. Wiecie, co to jest? To jest książka, na której, i teraz nie żartuję, Adam, będę ci podawał strony kolejne i będziesz pokazywał, co tam jest. To jest książka, gdzie na kilkuset stronach Maja zamieściła screeny z Twittera i Instagrama komentarzy ludzi. Rozumiecie to? Na początek jest taka tam stroniczka wstępu, o 2, a potem komentarze. Wypierdalaj. 17:42, 16 września 2021 roku. Przechodzimy dalej. Maja, pokaż cycki i pupę. Zamknij mordę. Myj okna. Ty jesteś tak brzydka, że nikt ci do ust nie da. Do roboty się weź. Maja Sraśko. Maja, usiądź. Would you like to see my cock? Prawda boli. Codziennie otrzymujesz groźby gwałtu? Ciekawe. XD. Nie zestraj się. O człowieku, mordo. W łeb się pierdolni. I takie komentarze rozumieście przez kilkaset stron. Zobacz. Adam, weź. Pokaż do kamery. Zobacz to. O. Głos w sprawie zabrała ekspertka od geopolityki, wojskowości, dyplomacji, wojny hybrydowej oraz walki informacyjnej. Zdjęcie niepowiązane. Na zdjęciu jest Maja Staśko. No niesamowity hejt, ale... O Jezu, czekaj, dobra. To jest dobre. Wrzuciła zdjęcie, że ktoś do niej dzwonił i nie odebrała. Oddzwoń jest napisane. Zobaczcie sami. No przecież to są po prostu... To są jaja. Zapłaciłem za to ponad 30 zł. To jest nieprawdopodobne niszczenie zasobów tej planety. Marnowanie papieru, marnowanie ludzkiej pracy, marnowanie prądu. Wszystko po to, żeby oszukać ludzi, że się sprzedaje książkę, podczas gdy to ma tylko kształt książki. To wygląda jak książka, ale to nie jest książka. Kurwa, to w ogóle nie jest książka. To jest po prostu scam. To jest bezwstydny skok na kasę. Niespotykany wręcz skok na kasę. Maja w sensie prawnym nie okradłaś mnie, ale uważam się za okradzionego. Mam prawo się tak uważać. Dla mnie, w moich oczach jesteś złodziejką. Ostatnio mamy pecha do wszelkiej maści szamanów. Nie daj Boże, jeszcze jak szaman pisze książkę równocześnie, to już widzicie, co wychodzi z tego. No w każdym razie dopiero co mieliśmy Tamarę, a teraz mamy Jakuba Czarodzieja. Jak nie Tamara oczadzająca sobie dymem genitalia,
Sing it tonight.
to Jakub Czarodziej opowiadający niestworzone rzeczy na temat Ukraińców. Odczłowieczający ich, szczujący na nich, udający, że nie chce wywołać nienawiści wobec Ukraińców, a tak naprawdę widać, że to jest jego jedyny cel. Do tej pory, może ja jestem jakiś dziwny, nie zaglądam w te zakątki internetu, nie wiedziałem, że ktoś taki jak Jakub Czarodziej istnieje. Jeśli tego też nie wiedzieliście, to prawdopodobnie dobrze z wami, ale w ostatnim czasie niestety dość łatwo było trafić na tą dziwną personę. Okazuje się jednak, że śledzi go jakieś 700 000 ludzi na Facebooku, czyli całkiem dużo. Czyli to nie jest teraz tak, że ktoś mi powie, o, promujesz jakiegoś odklejeńca. Nie, on już jest wypromowanym odklejeńcem. On już jest odklejeńcem z mainstreamu odklejeńców. On jest tam kimś naprawdę poważnym, poważanym, mimo że wariat. Mówimy więc o czarodzieju z dużymi zasięgami i niebezpiecznymi zaklęciami. Niebezpiecznymi, bo takiego wystrywu antyukraińskich kłamstw dawno w internecie nie widziałem. Przepraszam za to brzydkie słowo, ale inaczej tych mądrości z dupy nie da się określić. Dzisiaj porozmawiamy o tym, jakie bzdury opowiadają ludzie w przestrzeni publicznej i jak są w stanie okłamywać swoich odbiorców. Jest to o tyle ważne, że raz na jakiś czas na pewno natraficie na kogoś, kto widział film Jakuba Czarodzieja i będzie powtarzał tezy wygłaszane przez owego czarodzieja jako swoje własne i będzie mówił, tak właśnie jest, włącz myślenie, połącz kropki i wyłącz telewizję, zacznij samodzielnie myśleć. To z myślą o właśnie takich osobach, o spotkaniami z takimi osobami nagrywam ten odcinek. No to przyjrzyjmy się tym toksycznym wysrywom, będę się im przyglądał chronologicznie, mniej więcej tak jak nagrany jest, film owego Jakuba Czarodzieja, chociaż tam eskalacja następuje, jego wewnętrzny wkurw jest coraz większy z każdą sekundą i coraz głupszy, ale do tego oczywiście dojdziemy.
Witam was serdecznie, moi drodzy.
Siemanko.
Jest pewien temat,
Marka
który
Czarodziej.
naprawdę wkurwia Polaków. Mówi się o nim coraz częściej, ale oczywiście nieoficjalnie, tylko gdzieś tam po cichu, na ucho, no bo wiadomo, jeżeli powiesz to głośno, to ci się zarzuca od razu, że jesteś nieludzkim bydlakiem, z zerową empatią, nie masz wyrozumiałości, jesteś zły. Ale może, no spokojnie, po kolei. Od razu mówię, że to wideo nie namawia absolutnie do żadnej nienawiści, a jest jedynie opisem tego, co aktualnie dzieje.
Absolutnie, do żadnej.
Ja tylko opiszę to, co ma miejsce.
To opisuj, dawaj.
To, co faktycznie ma miejsce.
Dawaj, opisuj.
Na wstępie zaproszę cię do stolicy Polski, czyli do Warszawy. I spacerkiem pójdziemy sobie pod Centralną Bibliotekę Narodowego Banku Polskiego. Jeszcze raz.
drzyj japę.
Narodowego Banku Polskiego.
No i co?
Nie zgadniesz, jakie flagi tam wiszą w szybach i tak dalej.
Nie zgadnę, jakie tam flagi wiszą w szybach i tak dalej. No skoro się tak kurwiłeś, bo widać, że aż cię nosi, no to spróbuję zgadnąć. Zapewne są to flagi ukraińskie, bo ty wyglądasz właśnie na typa, który jak widzi flagę jakąś, która jest w innych barwach, to masz z tym jakiś gigantyczny problem, nie wiem. Masz wytatuowaną flagę biało-czerwoną na ręku, może ty się czujesz między flagami ukraińskimi jak kibic Legii między fanami Arki Gdynia. Może ty myślisz, że to jest jakaś permanentna konfrontacja. Mam wrażenie, że na co dzień ludzie nie przejmują się tak bardzo, że jakaś flaga wisi, o ile ta flaga nie jest flagą jakiegoś okupanta. No to jest jasne. Natomiast co ci tak przeszkadza w tych ukraińskich flagach, że tam wiszą? Nie rozumiem. To zaburza. Co to zaburza w zasadzie dla ciebie? Co ci to zmienia w życiu, że przejdziesz i będzie tam wisiała ukraińska flaga i może jakiemuś Ukraińcowi zrobi się miło. Ale dobra, okej. Pojechałem tam. Pojechałem tam zobaczyć, o co z tymi flagami chodzi. Ile tych ukraińskich flag jest. No i sami zobaczcie. To tu miałem przyjść? Tu? Centralna Biblioteka Narodowego Banku Polskiego? Tu, gdzie wiszą na masztach 3 polskie flagi? I gdzie tam wzdłuż wiszą kolejne polskie flagi? I gdzie nad nami, tam na górze, też 2 polskie flagi? Ty, czarodziej, czy ja jestem we właściwym miejscu? Co ty tu wyczarowałeś w ogóle? Przecież tu są same polskie flagi. Ja do tej pory nie miałem... Nawet kwiatki są biało-czerwone. Ja do tej pory nie miałem pojęcia, że w Warszawie jest tyle polskich flag. Czy ty jesteś normalny? Znaczy, nie, to pytanie w ogóle nie padło. Sorry, wycofuję. Czy ty będziesz tak celowo oszukiwał ludzi, którzy gdzieś tam mieszkają 500 km od Warszawy, 600 albo 400 i mówisz, przyjedźcie, zobaczcie, są tutaj Warszawę, same ukraińskie flagi, uuu! Ty, no to są same polskie flagi, człowieku. W łeb się puknij, kwiatki są biało-czerwone. Jest jedna ukraińska, tu na małej maszcie, a za nią jest zaraz Polska i Unii Europejskiej. To jest jedyne miejsce. Natomiast widzę tutaj raz, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 polskich flag. A jeszcze pewnie kilku nie zauważyłem. Debilu jebany. Żeby to jakaś naklejka chociaż była, taka wlepka z barwami ukraińskimi. To jeszcze byśmy zahaczyli jakoś o prawdę. Ale tu nie ma nic. To są same polskie flagi. Może on myśli, że to takie pod P, takie to jest U, jak Ukraina, a nie Polska walcząca. Przepraszam, czy tu były jakieś ukraińskie flagi niedawno? Pani mówi, że nie kojarzy.
Następnie spacerkiem bardzo niedaleko przejdziemy pod Muzeum Wojska Polskiego.
Nie krzycz, kurwa!
Zgadniesz, w jakich barwach świeci wieczorem Muzeum Wojska Polskiego?
No teraz to już faktycznie nie zgadnę, bo wcześniej mnie zaskoczyłeś. Powiedziałeś, nie zgadniecie, jakie tam flagi wiszą. I myślałem, że to nie będą flagi polskie. A to były flagi polskie. Więc teraz już się nie dam nabrać. Nie powiem, że to być może jest podświetlone w ukraińskich barwach, bo może w biało-czerwonych. Tylko ty tak po prostu nie dopowiadasz, bo nikt tego nie weryfikuje. Ale ja zweryfikowałem.
Przejdziemy się spacerkiem jeszcze na przykład na Rondo Daszyńskie.
No.
I tam są takie nowoczesne wieżowce, wiesz, że one wyświetlają różne reklamy i tak dalej. I na jednym jest taka ogromna flaga wyświetlona. Nie zgadniesz jakiego kraju?
Pewnie Polski.
Generalnie nie będę wymieniał wszystkich miejsc, ale na sam koniec po prostu zrobimy rundę po stolicy Polski i sam zobaczysz, jakich barw jest tutaj więcej.
Dobra, to zrobiłem rundę po stolicy Polski i sam zobaczyłem, jakich barw jest tam więcej. Ty, no same ukraińskie flagi, patrz. Pierwsza, druga, trzecia, czwarta, piąta, szósta, siódma, To barwy ukraińskie, tak? Biało-czerwone, tak? O to ci chodziło? Bo wszędzie rzeczywiście to.
Powiedzcie mi, bo ja tego nie rozumiem, co to ma wspólnego z pomaganiem? Co to ma wspólnego z pomaganiem? Bo ja kurwa nie mam pojęcia.
To, że ty kurwa nie masz pojęcia, to widać. Natomiast chętnie ci wyjaśnię. To znaczy, co flagi, które nie istnieją, ukraińskie, mają wspólnego z pomaganiem? No nic. Znaczy, twoje urojenia nie mają nic wspólnego z pomaganiem. To jest prawda. Natomiast gdyby rzeczywiście cała Warszawa była w ukraińskich barwach, to ci powiem, co to ma wspólnego z pomaganiem. To są gesty. To są gesty wobec ludzi, którzy uciekli przed wojną. Gesty mające im pokazać, że mogą czuć się tutaj swobodnie. Że tu żadni Rosjanie ich nie zaatakują. Że są widziani z otwartymi rękami. Że my, Polacy, ich wspieramy. Chociażby mentalnie. Że jesteśmy z nimi. To jest gest solidarności. Rozumiesz to, cymbale, czy tego nie rozumiesz?
A mimo wszystko nie przefarbowałem sobie flagi na ramieniu.
A szkoda, bo wstyd robisz Polakom. Weź przemaluj tą flagę na jakąś inną.
Milionerami nie są. Na co dzień nie stać ich nawet na wynajem kawalerki, więc mieszkają w wynajętym pokoju. Za 900, za 1100, za 1300 zł, tacy już bardziej zamożni, wiesz. Ludzie ledwo wiążą koniec z końcem, pracują sobie w różnych miejscach, jakoś sobie kurwa radzą, a mimo to znaleźli jeszcze grosza, żeby wspomóc sąsiadów, nie? Zresztą macie wzrok,
No i co? No wspomogli, chcieli to wspomogli.
Chyba dobrze wiecie, że absolutnie Polakom tutaj nie wolno zarzucić tego, że gdy u naszych sąsiadów wybuchła wojna, to Polacy, przepraszam, nie pomagali się, odwrócili.
Oczywiście.
Bo przeszli samych siebie. A teraz uwaga, kilka anegdot.
No dawaj, dochodzimy do najlepszego
Bo ja
fragmentu.
podniosę ciśnienie. Znaczy,
Podnieś
nie
mi ciśnienie.
Ja powtarzam, tylko opowiadam. Ja tego nie robię, ja tylko opowiadam. I tutaj mam kilka fajnych informacji. Zaczniemy od takich. Nowoczesne osiedle na warszawskiej woli. Nowoczesne. Wiesz,
Które? Podaj adres.
Zamknięty obieg.
Co to jest zamknięty obieg?
No wyjebane w kosmos. No nowoczesność, kurwa, pełną parą. No wiem, widziałem, byłem i tak dalej. Ale czemu tam nie mieszkam? No, słuchaj. 35 metrów kwadratowych
Czemu tam nie
wynajem
mieszkasz?
to jest kwota 3500 zł.
Czyli ci nie stać, kurwa. Pamiętasz, co powiedział o wszystkim, na co ci nie stać? Opowiedz o zegarkach, na które ci nie stać.
Sporo, nie? Większe mieszkania to już jest 4200, 5000, 6,5, a nawet mieszkanie 90 metrów jest za 14 000 złotych. I uwaga, też już jest wynajem. Teraz dostałem pewną informację, że jak wejdziesz na to osiedle, języka polskiego tam nie usłyszysz. I ja wiem, że na...
Tak, języka polskiego tam nie usłyszysz. Niestety nie wiemy, jakie to jest osiedle, bo nie podał adresu. Wprawdzie był tam, ale powiedział tylko, że to jest osiedle na Woli. Typowy przykład anegdotyczny, znaczy mówiąc krótko, przykład z dupy. Bo gdyby podał adres tego osiedla, gdyby podał nazwę tego osiedla, to zapewne by się okazało, że to jest dokładnie tak, jak z polskimi i ukraińskimi flagami na mieście. Czyli by się okazało, że jeden Ukrainiec przypada na 10 Polaków. Ale lepiej takiego adresu nie podawać, no bo wtedy można mówić wszystko. Ja wam powiem, że znam osiedle na warszawskiej Pradze, gdzie języka polskiego nie usłyszysz. Bo tam mieszkają sami Francuzi. A obok sami Marsjanie. I to jest w ogóle totalny odlot. Sami Marsjanie na osiedlu na warszawskiej Pradze. Nie uwierzylibyście, gdybyście tam weszli. Nie? Wchodzisz, a tam kurwa faceci z czułkami, zieloni po prostu. To mówisz, czy ja jestem na planie filmu? A oni mówią, nie, to jest takie zamknięte osiedle tylko dla Marsjan. I ceny tam są takie, że Polaków na nie nie stać. Rozumiecie? Nie stać. Z Marsa przylatują ich stać, a Polaków nie stać. 20 000 za kawalerkę, 40 za 2 pokoje i Marsjan stać. Sami pojedźcie i zobaczcie. Ja tylko opowiadam. Żeby nie było, że szczuję na Marsjan. Ja tylko opowiadam.
Nasi sąsiedzi nie uciekali przed biedą, tylko przed wojną, ale skoro mają taki...
ale jakby mieszkali w chujowych miejscach, to byłoby mi przyjemniej, bo mnie nie stać na te mieszkania. To chciałeś powiedzieć.
I hajs.
No.
To może oni sami sobie też powinni pomóc. Nie?
No to pewnie pomagają.
Widzę, to oni wyjebali stamtąd, mają w dupie, kurwa, co się u nich dzieje.
W dupie mają.
Bawią.
Świetnie się bawią.
Widzą moi znajomi, widzi masa ludzi, do czego przejdziemy dalej, a ty, kurwa, Polaku, zarabiający mało co, mieszkający w pokoiku, bo na więcej cię nie stać, na tobie będzie wymuszane, kurwa, że masz im pomagać, bo inaczej to jesteś złym człowiekiem.
Ty, nikt nie wymusza na Ukraińcach, żeby im pomagać, na Polakach, żeby pomagać Ukraińcom. O czym ty w ogóle mówisz? Nie spotkałem się z sytuacją, w której ktoś byłby napiętnowany za to, że nie pomaga Ukraińcom. W ogóle nikt mi nigdy nie zadał pytania, czy ty pomagasz Ukraińcom? Adam, czy ktoś cię kiedyś spytał, czy pomagasz Ukraińcom? Adam kiwa głową, że nie. A ze słów czarodzieja wynika, że w ogóle to jest podstawowe, pierwsze zadawane ludziom pytanie. Pomogłeś dzisiaj Ukraińcowi jakiemuś? Nie. Niegodny Polaku. Przecież tak nie jest. Przecież ty opowiadasz jakieś historie z dupy, ale dopiero dojdziemy, jak bardzo one są z dupy i do tego fragmentu o tych biednych Polakach też wrócimy.
Uwaga, ja absolutnie nie bronię Polaków, bo uważam, że naszą dumą, z której jesteśmy znani na całym świecie, to jest chamstwo.
Dumą Polaków jest chamstwo. Okej.
I kurwa, absolutnie nie wolno tutaj zaprzeczać. Ale coś wam powiem. Wakacje, okres wakacyjny roku 2022, jak zazwyczaj na ulicach można było widzieć wieczorami, dużo chamstwa, krzyków, wrzasków, sikania w niedozwolonych miejscach, rzucania butelkami, bicia się po ryju i tak dalej. Tak o dziwo w tym roku na ulicach Warszawy ja owszem widziałem bydlackie i zwierzęce zachowania, tylko za każdym razem słyszałem tam bardzo wyraźnie język ukraiński.
To jak w tej historii, co jeden gość drugiego zaćgał nożem na Nowym Świecie i słychać było tam język ukraiński. Tylko się potem okazało, że to Polak zaćgał, a Ukrainiec pomocy wzywał. To tyle są warte te twoje opowieści. Podszedłem, jak robiłem ten obchód po mieście z kamerą, podszedłem do policjantów, spytałem się, ej, to prawda, że tu Ukraińcy wszystkich po mordach biją? A oni mówią, że nie. Więc tak się zastanawiam, skąd ty to w ogóle wyczasnąłeś? O co chodzi w tym całym przemówieniu, że czy ty właśnie powiedziałeś, że przez poprzednie lata, dzień w dzień wieczorami, Polacy robili burdy na mieście, zachowywali się jak bydło, sikali, rzucali butelkami, bili się, ale w tym roku ich nie ma, bo robią to Ukraińcy, to gdzie są ci wszyscy Polacy, którzy się przez lata bili, sikali, rzucali butelkami, przeklinali? Oni znaleźli sobie nową miejscówkę do tego, by robić to bydło, czy o co tu chodzi? Gdzie są ci Polacy, którzy nam wszystkim przeszkadzali? Oni nagle są okej już? Oni już się nie awanturują? Czy też powiedzieli sobie, nie, zostawmy nowy świat tam, zostawmy Ukraińcom, niech oni teraz tutaj walczą, a my będziemy walczyć na przykład na krakowskim przedmieściu. I teraz jak ktoś chce patriotyczną napierdalankę zobaczyć, biało-czerwoną, to idzie na krakowskie przedmieście, a tam chodzą fani burd z Ukrainy. W ogóle ty chodzisz po mieście i podlatujesz do ludzi, którzy się biją i nasłuchujesz, w jakim języku się wyzywają? Próbuję to ogarnąć trochę, to co ty tu naopowiadałeś i mi się to nie trzyma kupy. Znaczy, albo tylko kupy się trzyma. Dobra.
Moje znajome, które pracują w knajpach, w drogich restauracjach, są tam kelnerkami, są menadżerkami, mówią jasno, że im się już płakać chce, jak wchodzi ktoś z Ukrainy do restauracji. Po prostu. Osobiście również byłem świadkiem niejednej sytuacji, gdzie siedziałem z moimi przyjaciółmi na obiedzie, na kawce. Wszyscy siedzieli kulturalnie obok jednego stolika, gdzie było chamstwo, rzucanie się, kurwa, wszystkim co spod ręką, krzyki, razem z wyjebaniem stolika do góry kołami i tam też nie było słychać języka polskiego.
Co jest nie tak z moim życiem? Co jest ze mną nie tak? Dlaczego ja mam takie nudne życie? Ja prawie codziennie jestem w restauracji. Prawie codziennie. To nie są przechwałki, po prostu fakty. I kurczę, tam się nigdy nic nie dzieje. Podchodzi kelner albo kelnerka, pyta co podać. Ja tam wybieram najtańszą pozycję z karty. Ona potem to przynosi. Czasami jak się ktoś w tej restauracji spierdzi, to jest wielkie wydarzenie i mówi się o tym przez najbliższe 3 dni. Ty pamiętasz tego typa przy stoliku obok, jak się spierdział. Ale szczerze mówiąc, to ja nie pamiętam, kiedy ostatnio ktoś się spierdział w moim towarzystwie w restauracji. Tam się nic nigdy nie dzieje. A ten ma zajebiście. Pójdzie na Nowy Świat, tu Ukraińcy toczą walki, pójdzie do restauracji, Ukrainiec wywala stół, wcześniej rzuca butelkami. Dlaczego mnie te przygody wszystkie omijają? Czemu? Ja też bym chciał żyć pełnią życia, być świadkiem takich zdarzeń, móc je opisywać, relacjonować, a tu ciągle nic. Jak spotkam w restauracji Ukraińca, to zazwyczaj podchodzi i pyta się, czy woda gazowana, czy nie gazowana. Czekaj, wyciszę to. Dobra. W każdym razie chciałbym być jak Jakub Czarodziej. Chciałbym żyć jak on, żeby coś się działo w tym smutnym życiu. A mam wrażenie, że on przyciąga wszystkie ciekawe zdarzenia i nie zostawia już nic dla innych. Ale dobrze, poszedłem na Nowy Świat. Poszedłem na Nowy Świat, gdyż ja w przeciwieństwie do Jakuba Czarodzieja nie mam aż tak wielu znajomych. I musiałem spytać po prostu obcych mi kelnerów, czy to rzeczywiście jest prawda, co ten człowiek wygaduje. Wchodzimy na Nowy Świat, a więc reprezentacyjne ulice Warszawy, gdzie źli ukraińscy klienci wywracają stoły w restauracjach, a kelnerki płaczą, gdy tylko widzą, że jakiś Ukrainiec wchodzi do środka. O dziwo, pierwsze co się rzuca w oczy, to polskie flagi. Nie wiem, czy to jest jakiś kurwa dzień flagi dzisiaj, czy co, bo tu wszędzie są polskie flagi, to jest aż nienormalne. Proszę mi powiedzieć, czy to prawda, że płacze pani, gdy widzi, że do restauracji wchodzi klient z Ukrainy, bo wie pani, że to będzie po prostu straszne przeżycie. Że będzie się źle zachowywał, będzie chuliganił, może nawet stół wywróci.
Nie, absolutnie. Nie wiem w ogóle skąd taka opinia. Muszę przyznać szczerze, że mamy bardzo dużo ukraińskich klientów i absolutnie nie mogę się zgodzić z tym, co pan powiedział.
Proszę pani, czy to prawda, że gdy wchodzi klient z Ukrainy, to pani ucieka na zaplecze, żeby tylko pani nie zobaczył, bo to na pewno będzie jakieś bydło totalne, chamstwo, rzucanie kieliszkami, szklankami, wywracanie stołów, albo w ogóle jakiekolwiek niekulturalne zachowanie?
Nigdy mi się nie przytrafiło. No czasami coś nie są zbyt nastawieni dobrze, jak my nie mówimy po ukraińsku, ale to raz na jakiś czas się zdarzy, ale ogólnie ja mam w miarę dobre doświadczenia z takimi gośćmi.
Siemanko, słuchaj, ty widzę, tak jesteś wysportowany byczek, więc ty się pewnie Ukraińców nie boisz, ale powiedz mi szczerze, czy pozostali kelnerzy, albo może nawet ty, jak wchodzi ekipa z Ukrainy, słyszysz ukraiński język, to prawda, że uciekasz?
Nie, prawda zupełnie inna. Ludzie z Ukrainy są naprawdę bardzo kulturalni, są bardzo w porządku, zdecydowanie bardziej są grzeczniejsi niż Polacy po prostu i zawsze stawiałem dobrego typa.
Tak?
Prawda, zdecydowanie, 100%.
To nie są chamy?
Absolutnie, w żaden sposób.
A napiwki zostawiają?
Tak, zostawiają.
Czyli mają pieniądze, a mogliby wysłać pieniądze na pomoc Ukrainie.
No wie pan co,
Nie, żartuję. Normalnie się zachowują, tak?
Tak, oczywiście, że tak. Wszystko jest jak w najlepszym porządku. To dotyczy u nas, jeśli chodzi o naszych klientów, to dotyczy każdego gościa.
I wyjaśniłem sobie, ja panią nie poprosiłem, że pani to powiedziała, ani nie zapłaciłem za takie...
Nie. Tak jak mówię, zachowują się bardzo dobrze. Zresztą nawet bym nie zwróciła uwagi, gdyby było coś nie tak. Wszyscy nasi goście są na takim samym poziomie, jesteśmy bardzo zadowoleni.
To jest niemożliwe, przecież Jakub Czarodziej powiedział coś zupełnie innego. On ma znajomych kelnerów.
To jest nawet Jakub Czarodziej, Boże. Proste, jasne i logiczne, nie mam pojęcia.
Lepiej, żebyś nie wiedział.
No właśnie, nie mam zamiaru sprawdzać nawet. Powiem więcej jeszcze, byłem ze znajomym jeszcze rok temu, byliśmy w Lwowie i zdecydowanie całe chamstwo, które było na ulicach, to byli Polacy. Tyle.
Nie pozwolę na te antypolskie treści, wystarczy.
A propos jeszcze wynajmowania mieszkań, to mam paru znajomych, którzy wynajmują mieszkania, ale znam też dużo innych sytuacji, gdzie ludzie wynajęli mieszkanie nie tanio i oczywiście nie Polakom. Nadal komuś z naszych sąsiadów. I uwaga, są kurwa jaja. Mieszkania zostały zdemolowane, pieniędzy nie ma, pozbyć się ich nie da. Kolejna rzecz,
To ciekawe. Znowu masz jakąś przygodę, której ja nie miałem. Ja udostępniłem 2 mieszkania rodzinom z Ukrainy. Za darmo, jak się wojna rozpoczęła. I te rodziny obie już wróciły na Ukrainę, więc potem już za pieniądze, nie tak dawno, z miesiąc temu, jednej rodzinie ukraińskiej jedno z tych mieszkań wynająłem. Normalnie wynająłem i kurczę, oni nic nie zdemolowali. Ani tamci poprzedni nic nie zdemolowali i w ogóle nie musiałem się ich, jak to powiedziałeś, pozbywać, bo sami wyjechali. A ci z kolei przyjechali i płacą i są czyści i wszystko jest ok. Słyszałem historię o zdemolowanych mieszkaniach, o lokatorach, którzy nie płacą, o po prostu mieszkaniach w stanie dramatycznym. Na przykład były piłkarz Legii Tomasz Kiełbowicz miał takie ostatnie zdarzenie. Gość od niego wynajął mieszkanie, mówiąc krótko, zasrał je po prostu po sam sufit i nie płacił. Tylko wiesz, to jest jeden problem, to był Polak. Znaczy nie Kiełbowicz, tylko ten gościu, co wynajął. Polak. To może to różnie jest z tymi ludźmi. Może to jest tak, nie wiem. Ja ciebie zapytam teraz. Może to jest tak, że bez względu na narodowość można trafić na różnych ludzi. Że można trafić na Polaków, którzy są czyści, którzy płacą, którzy dbają. Można trafić na Ukraińców, którzy nie dbają, niszczą, nie płacą. Ale też można trafić na Polaków, którzy nie płacą, niszczą, nie dbają. Oraz na Ukraińców, którzy są mega spoko lokatorami. Tak tylko pytam, czy jest to możliwe? Bierzesz to w ogóle pod uwagę, czy nie?
Liczę sytuacji opowiadających przez moich znajomych, nieznajomych.
Jezu, ty masz znajomych.
Gdzie
Rany.
na ich osiedle.
A nieznajomi jak ci opowiadał historię?
Wprowadzili się właśnie też sąsiedzi z zagranicy i podobno jest tam rozpierdol. To oni kurwa gorzej niż małpy w zoo. Gorzej.
Gorzej niż małpy w zoo. Ale nie wiadomo gdzie. Pamiętajcie, prawdopodobnie jest jeszcze gorzej na tym osiedlu marsjańskim, o którym mówiłem. Oni w ogóle nie wynaleźli kibla. Gorzej niż małpy w zoo.
Kolejna rzecz. Ja jeżdżę bardzo dużo samochodem, bardzo dużo. I tu już jestem zmęczony tym, jestem już wkurwiony, ponieważ nasi sąsiedzi mają inny kodeks ruchu drogowego niż my. I ich znajomość naszych przepisów, znaków i tak dalej jest na poziomie żadnym. Ja oczywiście nie odbieram brawury polskim kierowcom, ale jednak przez ostatnie miesiące najwięcej niebezpieczeństwa na drodze zobaczyłem na samochodach, gdzie były ukraińskie blachy. Dodam...
Człowieku, co ty w ogóle pierdolisz? Co ty pierdolisz? Teraz weź tego Najmana. Rozpędź się
i pierdolni głową w ścianę.
Polacy, którzy na ograniczeniach do 60 jedą 148 albo 222 na godzinę. Którzy mają w dupie kodeks drogowy, nawet jak go znają. I znaki mają też w dupie, nawet jak je znają. Polacy, którzy przekraczają prędkość non-stop. Którzy jeżdżą, nie wszyscy oczywiście, ale tak jakbym był nim, to bym mówił, że wszyscy. Polacy, którzy non-stop powodują wypadki. Po pijaku, a to jakiś facet po pijaku wjedzie w rodzinę idącą chodnikiem i rozjedzie kobietę w ciąży, a to inny wjedzie w grupę rowerzystów, a to inny na przejściu dla pieszych kogoś potrąci. Co tydzień to oglądamy w internecie, co tydzień, codziennie niemalże. I ty teraz będziesz mówił, że twoje poczucie bezpieczeństwa na drogach spadło, bo wjechało tu trochę samochodów z Ukrainy? Naprawdę? Serio?
Przyjedź sobie w weekend do Warszawy i wejdź we wszystkie miejsca, gdzie są zakazy postoju, zakazy zatrzymywania się, zakazy wjazdu i tak dalej i zobaczysz, na jakich blachach stoją tam samochody. Ludzie nie mogą kurwa dojechać do własnych posesji, bo jest jednokierunkowa, stoją tam kurwa samochody. No mówię, zgadnij na jakich blachach. Ludzie nie mogą jechać po własne dzieci kurwa do szkoły, rozumiesz? Nie wyjadą z posesji, bo się nie zmieszczą na samochody. Chuj stąd.
Na początku myślałem, że trzeba koniecznie w weekend pojechać, żeby zweryfikować tą historię. Nie chciało mi się trochę czekać do weekendu, ale potem powiedział o tych dzieciach, szkole, czyli okazuje się, że to w zasadzie 7 dni w tygodniu się odbywa. Ukraińcy zastawiają polskie drogi. Mieszkańcy Warszawy nie mogą wyjechać ze swoich posesji. Nie mogą jechać po dzieci do szkoły, bo Ukraińcy blokują polskie drogi. Moje dziecko 4. dzień jest w szkole. Nie odebrałem. Nie mam jak. Zablokowany wyjazd z posesji. Moi sąsiedzi Jak zawieźli 1 września dziecko do szkoły, tak do dzisiaj dziecko jest w szkole. To jest normalna sytuacja w Warszawie. Przyjedź do Warszawy i zobacz. Przyjedź i zobacz, jak parkują Ukraińcy. Tylko jak przyjedziesz, to już nie wyjedziesz, bo cię zastawią, oczywiście. Więc lepiej pociągiem przyjeść. Samochodem od razu. To jeszcze po drodze mogą puknąć. Znaczy zderzyć. Chociaż nie wiem, co on jeszcze nawet zgaduje do końca tego filmu. Ale dobrze. Skoro to się dzieje non-stop, że oni zastawiają, to pojechałem do tej Warszawy. Znaczy nie miałem daleko, byłem w Warszawie, ale poszedłem na miasto, jak to się mówi. I wszedłem w te boczne uliczki, żeby sprawdzić, jak ci Ukraińcy zastawiają polskie samochody. I proszę zobaczyć, co mi wyszło.
Patrz jak stanął. Niezgodnie z przepisami Ukrainiec pewnie jakiś. A nie, to skasuj, to na warszawskich rejestracjach. Nie, to... Szukamy dalej. Zobacz jak zaparkował. Na kopertę najechał. Po samym samochodzie widać, że Ukrainiec. Polacy nie mają takich samochodów. Polacy mają tanie samochody, słabe, a to rzuca się w oczy. Na pewno jakiegoś 20-letniego Ukraińca, który udaje, że uciekł przed wojną, a tutaj cieszy japę co wieczór. Zobacz, idziemy w ciemno po...
You shall no longer take this mortal realm.